Hello, my name is Carrie Groneman, and I'm so glad you're here today with me. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Thanksgiving. This holiday holds special memories, particularly of my Grandma Shirley. Grandma's cooking, her cooking. Everyone who knew her agreed she was one of the best cooks they'd ever met. Now, Thanksgiving Day was very special. The tables were set with linen, her china was out. Every table had these little salt and pepper shakers and their own butter dish. We love our butter. For a little background though, when I was young, my parents went through a very bitter, hard divorce. But every year, as dinner was being prepared, Grandma would always set aside a couple plates of food and cover them with foil, and they were heaping with food, and send those with my sisters and myself to Dad's when we went to visit him later that day. When I look back, I realized just how kind-hearted she was to do that, because Grandma Shirley was my mom's mother, and I know there were difficult emotions that she had to deal with, and she was looking for ways to still be a peacemaker even with all that going on. When I was about 16, I moved up to my dad's to finish high school. And I decided I wanted to make Thanksgiving dinner myself. Grandma said, sure, I'll talk to you over the phone. We can do this. So she gave me a list of what to get. And you have to understand, though, this was long before Google, YouTube, video chats of any kind. The only way we had to communicate was with a phone attached to the wall and a receiver and about a 3-foot cord that I had at my dad's. And it's all we had to be able to try to describe what to do and what was going on. As I called Grandma, there were 2 main instructions, she said. Prepare the turkey the way she told me, and put the giblets from inside the turkey in the fridge for later. And while the turkey was cooking, baste it with butter a lot. Keep basting to keep it moist. Okay. We hung up. I began to cook my first Thanksgiving dinner. How well the turkey cooked, I cooked potatoes and mashed them, and I probably opened a can of green beans for good measure to have as a side. I'm really experienced back then. Now, when the turkey was done, I called Grandma again to walk me through how to make the gravy from the drippings in the pan. And she told me to first start by cooking the giblets, keeping the water to use for the gravy, and dicing that up really small to add into the gravy. So we hung up. I did that. I followed her instructions. And as I got the giblets out of the liquid and started cutting them up, I don't know what it is. It is something about the texture. I still can't do giblets. I don't know. So instead, I got out a can of mushrooms. I drained it and I cut them up really small and used that. I called Grandma back to finish up the gravy and to get the details for Dad of how to cut up the turkey, the best that Grandma could describe what Grandpa always did, because he was a master turkey carver. Well, we got through all that. All was great. I put the food on the table, and Dad and I sat down to pray. After the prayer, I opened my eyes, and I noticed the gravy was in 2 distinct layers. Kind of a somewhat darker layer and a very light layer. I'm like, what happened to the gravy? I called Grandma again on the phone to figure out what had happened. As we talked through this and I described the gravy, she asked, well, how much butter did you use to baste that turkey? I said, I don't know, I cubes, 2 pounds of butter. Remember, we like our butter, but I thought she was going to hang up the phone to catch her breath. She was laughing so hard. Evidently, I was supposed to use 1 or 2 cubes to baste the turkey, using the drippings, the same butter from the bottom, and then just basting the top, pulling it up, basting the top, instead of adding more butter every time I basted. Well, I hung up, and Dad and I looked at each other, and we decided, we'll just use that gravy. So we put it in the blender. Every time we wanted to put some of our potatoes on our meat, we just gave it a whirl, turned it on, and then poured it on our food and put it back on the blender base for when we wanted some more. When I look back over that particular Thanksgiving, the greatest example Grandma ever gave me was how to be a peacemaker and find ways to serve even in difficult circumstances as they were in with the divorce and with the situation as it was. She found a way to show love and to keep God's commandment to love others and to help where possible and in ways that would be appropriate and be kind. And her legacy of that has served me all my life, and I've tried so hard to pass that on to my own kids and now my grandkids. I hope that we all can look for ways to be a peacemaker, to love others, to show gratitude to God. Happy Thanksgiving, my friend.